For my semester study abroad, I wanted a fucking experience. I went to the University of Redlands, and I majored in mushrooms and moon dances. We have a very strong online presence, but it is a real school. So I chose none other than Vietnam. Mostly because for the rest of my life, I would be able to say when I was in Nam. So I picked up my tongue ring and I headed east. I loved everything about Vietnam. Butchering Vietnamese, sweating so much my pit stains had pit stains, and shitting in a hole. About a month into the trip, about a month into the trip, my entire group and I traveled from Saigon to Hanoi, which is Jewish for. We stopped in Hue, central Vietnam. This was like monsoons, really fucking poor people. This was like the real apocalypse now shit. So my best friend Dominic and I decided that we would obviously find the nearest bar and get wasted. And the way to get around to Vietnam is to ride motorbikes. And if you're a lady, the way to ride a motorbike is side saddle. And I opted against this form of misogyny on wheels. And I rode fucking spread eagle every chance I could get. So we picked two motorbike drivers and shouted bar at them. And I hopped on and I grabbed my driver's waist that was smaller than mine. And they took us straight into the jungle. And they're racing each other, and there's like a cool mist that flows over my Jufro. And in that moment, I felt so fucking free. Like, I was in the middle of a Bob Dylan song. It was in another lifetime. When something was a virtue and the world was full of mud, I came out from the wilderness, a creature void of fun. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. So we get to the bar, and after a few hours of listening to expats talk about how tight Vietnamese women's pussies were, I decided to call it a night. So Dominic and I chose two motorbikes at random. We hopped on and we started going out back through the jungle, and the drivers started racing each other, and it was so fun. And then all of a sudden, Dominic's motorbike sped ahead, and mine went right, straight into the jungle. And that's so weird, I remember drunkenly thinking. Is he lost? And then he started to touch me. I fought back at first, but as we started going deeper into the jungle, I knew that if I wanted to get out alive, I had to play dead. Now, I always had a rape fantasy. Like, anytime a guy touched me, I would just like fucking kick their ass and like punch them in the balls and like fucking do it. But in that moment, when it happened, I was paralyzed. About an hour later, I got back to the hotel and Dominic was waiting for me. And he was really upset. And I was really drunk and I hopped off the motorbike and he sped off and no, I didn't pay him. And I remember Dominic looked at my face and he could sense something was off. And he asked me, "Are you okay?" I don't remember what I said, but the next morning I woke up and he was crying. I quickly told my translator, Min, what had happened, and she said sweetly, "Oh no, Jessie, Vietnamese men don't do that, and they wouldn't do that to you." Okay, that sounded good to me. So I decided to believe her. So the next night I decided I was gonna be O-fucking-K. I was doing body shots with a British sculptor named James. I was writing a thesis on the Vietnamese Communist Women's Union, and I was popping laxatives. I was okay. Vietnam had become my Vietnam. So I get back to California, or no, where was I? Georgia. I get back home. And I decided that I had to admit that, yeah, I was a rape victim. But if I was gonna be a rape victim, I was gonna be the best fucking rape victim that you have ever met. I told everybody. My shrink, my rabbi, the mailman, and of course my parents. So we sit down to dinner, and Dad's making shrimp stir fry. And if you have to tell your parents you've been raped, I highly recommend you do it over shrimp stir fry. It's a great pairing. My mom was concerned at first, and she was asking me, so who is this guy? And I explained to her that he was a motorbike driver, like the equivalent of a cabbie in the US. And she became very concerned. Well, does he own the company? So that summer I moved to New York City. And I decided, of all places, I was gonna live in Chinatown. I didn't think seeing short Asian men hauling huge ass pigs on their backs would trigger anything besides a BLT craving. So one morning I hopped on the G train on my way to work, and my heart started pounding really fast. And then I started sweating in places that I didn't know were capable of sweating, and I grasped for air, but I couldn't breathe. And I felt myself slipping away from reality. Now, I've had anxiety before, but panic attacks, or as I like to call them, the orgasms of fear, it's like watching your own death. So I took a seat, and I popped some diet pills that I just stolen from CVS. A flat stomach would definitely help calm my nerves. And I looked around the subway. Everybody was fucking looking at me, judging me, shaming me, making these plans to lock me away. In reality, the only other people on the subway were a bunch of Mexican kids on their way to school looking at porn. But I could have fucking sworn they were out to get me. So I decided to take myself to the Columbia Psychiatric Ward, thinking that that would help me feel more sane. I remember walking into the doctor's office, and it was decorated in what can only be described as hepatitis C chic. And the doctor asked me his first and only question. Do you see that chair? Yeah. Well, I guess it's too much. Is that chair talking to you? Are you fucking kidding me? I don't know. Are you being ironic? Is that a trick question? You mean in a metaphysical sense? I don't know. That's all I could say. So he gave me a prescription for Klonopin and told me to take as needed. I fucking needed. For the next 8 years, I took Klonopin, laxatives, puked, got colonics, had a couple more panic attacks. I was ready for Hollywood. About a year ago, is my dad here? About a year ago, I was dancing in this douchey bar, and I was with this guy, and he was buying me tequila and kale salads, and we were dancing. Everything was going great. And all of a sudden, this is me dancing, and all of a sudden, he slaps me on the ass. And I drunkenly turn around and I say, when you slap me on the ass, it reminds me of that time I got raped. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a dick shrivel inside of a body. I wasn't okay. I started thinking about my rapist a lot. What was he doing now? Did he remember me? Did he remember the night the same way I did? How did he feel about the whole Mars thing? My questions were galaxies away from my answers. I had to make a fucking movie. Meet My Rapist is a dark comedy about running into my rapist at the farmer's market. It's really good. If you guys haven't seen it, my mom will send it to you. I was really nervous before we put the film out, because like, it's one thing to come out to your parents and the mailman, but I was coming out to the entire world as a rape victim. I mean, everybody was gonna know now. Even my 94-year-old grandma on the Upper West Side. So I decided to email her the film first. What was she gonna think? Like, her granddaughter not only got raped, but then decided to make a movie about it. Like, that's the tackiest shit ever. But I sent the email. I heard back about 30 seconds later. Jessie, I love what you've done with your rape. I was really jazzed at the film's reception, especially from other sexual abuse survivors. I was walking down Sunset Boulevard one day, and this chick ran up to me and spilled her soy latte over both of us, and she told me how my film finally set her free. I was starting to feel okay. And I kept riding that rape train all the way to the top. The film even got accepted to the Slam Dance Film Festival. So I packed up my fake fur and I headed to Park City. After the screening, during the Q&A, I started getting some questions that I didn't really know how to answer. Excuse me, with all the good press you're getting from the film, does it feel like you've been raped again? Oh yeah, my girlfriend wants me to rape her. Like, is that okay? Later at the film's after party, I found myself once again twerking on the dance floor, but this time I was all alone. There was all these really hot dudes at the screening that had just given me a standing ovation, but there I was, and they wouldn't even give me like a jello shot or a fist bump or anything. And I even tried to thank the host of the party with a side hug. He decided to bow to me. Like I was the Duchess of Rapesville. The rest of the week only got weirder. For every Hollywood party, I found myself in the corner with Stu, the 7-year-old entertainment lawyer, crying into my rabbit fur, telling me about his girlfriend from college who got gangbangs. I had created a rape monster. But back at home, the film started really blowing up, and My Rape got me a manager, and there was even talk of Rape the Musical. But I noticed as more people started noticing the film, my love life only started getting shittier. So like, my boyfriend, after 6 months with me, decided that it was time to go back to rehab. My new crush decided that he was actually married. And even my vibrator was over me. I was so excited because one night I was at the Echo and I was flirting with this really cute guy, and we were like sharing cigarettes and talking about Top Chef, and everything was so awesome. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, you're Jessie, the rape girl. I loved your movie. Tell me all about your rape. It's like, I tried to move on from the rape, and then Cher started talking to me, and I tried embracing it, and I was the rape girl. I was trapped in this prison that I created. I had made my rape bed, and now I was gonna have to sleep in it, all alone. So a couple weeks ago, I was going to get my weekly wax, or as I like to call it, the Chewbacca. And I decided to treat myself to a mani-pedi. So I climbed up on those thrones, and I started making small talk with the chick, and I asked her, you know, where are you from? And she looks up at me in between my hairy toes and says, Vietnam. And all of a sudden I started having these images of motorbikes and kale salads and ass slaps and talking chairs and rape girls, and I waited for that panic attack. but it didn't come. I was okay. This was fucking terrifying. So I said to her, I've been to Vietnam. And she asked me the one question that was so fucking deep, I could feel my heart sink. Did you like it? And I thought about Vietnam. And 20-year-old Jessie was looking for this experience that taught her what it meant to be herself. And I looked down at this sweet lady and grabbed my red upper lip where my mustache used to be. And I said, yeah, I fucking loved it.